now that you have the presence of Enrique up front, now you can then ask the questions of the France center backs to be able to be pinned back, and then Cunha will have the ability to get a second ball, to get a knockdown. And if he does, then you start to operate running towards goal with the likes of Vinicius Jr. on one side, Martinelli on the other. It just gives you a different dynamic, a focal point to play into, alleviate pressure, and then build off of.
Carlo Ancelotti, of course, familiar with French football. Ligue 1 winner with Paris Saint-Germain in the 2013 campaign, delivered a title to Paris for the first time since 1994. Six-time UEFA Champions League winner. This, his first national team job. Safe to say, it couldn't be any bigger. Training sessions in Orlando have been so important for the group, he said. Insinuate, though, they've just not had enough time to perhaps execute in the manner in which he wants. But nevertheless, now a rolling of the dice. Rafinha out. Luis Enrique of Zenit St. Petersburg into the fray. I'll take your time, Carlo. Only 60,000 plus waiting for you. And so, the road to 2026 continues here at Gillette Stadium. Single solitary goal from Kylian Mbappe, the difference between the two sides thus far. Callum Williams alongside former US Youth International Jamie Watson, your commentary team. Jamie, now what to expect in the second half?
Should be a different look from Brazil, understanding that they have the focal point that they desperately need in the first half, and the earliest you can get Enrique involved, then you get Vinny Jr. running off, Cunha dropping into the number 10 role to be able to collect the pieces, gives Brazil a more dynamic attack and also a different look that they didn't have in the first half without that physical presence up front.
That's forward by André Santos. Here come Brazil, interrogating in the early exchanges. The ball across the face of goal in the end. It's fired into the side netting and behind for a goal kick.
Should have been across the face of the goal, you're absolutely right, and that's an opportunity that Wesley has to do better with. At the back post, there was an opportunity to clip this up because it was wonderful retreatment from the French side, but once you get to that position at this level, Wesley, player of his quality, would expect himself to be able to drive that across the face of goal.
Victories in the last meeting between the pair in 2015 in the favour of Brazil, 3-1 at the Stade de France. Goals coming from Oscar and Luis Gustavo, and in particular Neymar, individual that has been the focal point of the footballing world over the course of the last couple of days. In a headline or two, certainly on the international stage, but not more so than in Brazil. Time leading goal scorer Neymar not picked. Instead, the likes of Luis Enrique given the opportunity by Carlo Ancelotti. Of course, saying he's had to hear from just about everybody in Brazilian football over the course of the last couple of days after it was announced that Neymar was not joining the squad here. Even the great Romario saying he wasn't happy, but now defence on the mindset of Brazil. Albeit momentarily, Neymar garnering headlines over the course of the last week or so, Jamie.
Ancelotti's job is to make the best decisions, not necessarily the most popular decisions. And the U.S. men's national team well aware of a familiar situation in which Jurgen Klinsmann chose not to take Landon Donovan. But then you wonder, is it a distraction to the group with all the media asking the questions? And certainly Neymar is what seems to be a favorable personality in the locker room. His exclusion from the group, what does that do? And other players having to answer the questions. The big thing will be, if the rumors are true that it is confirmed, there'll be 26 players instead of 23 players on the roster. Do you find a way to get Neymar in for his ability to come off the bench, change a game, and for the cohesion with the group?
Here comes Brazil, looking for a way through here. Across the face it comes. Falls down to Martinelli. Casemiro unable to gather, and into the grasp of Mike Maignan for now.
Oh, the ball was never meant for Casemiro in that moment. It was always trying to go to Vinny Jr. at the bottom of the screen. Casemiro, in that moment, he couldn't know any different. He's just trying to take the touch into the path where he can get a shot off. But this is meant for Vinicius Jr. and just would have liked to see the captain step over it, dummy it, and allow Vinny the option to shoot first time or go 1v1.
Mbappe unable to come round this time. André Santos. Forward now for Vinicius Jr. Full of retreating French players able to do the business, although the ball is given away by Gusto. Vinicius Jr. Casemiro, Cunha, Martinelli! possession. In the end, cleared away by Malo Gusto, but Brazil starting to pair.
Instantly, that's a completely different look from Brazil. Watch the way Konate tracks this so well and is able to get into the path. That is a wonderful step from the Liverpool man to be able to get into the path and stop Arsenal's top goal scorer on the season.
It's a Brazilian front four have had to receive thus far. Could they? Enrique again. Luis Enrique towards goal. It's Andre Santos. Cunha. France able to oblige defensively this time.
But instantly you're seeing the difference. No point in the first 45 minutes with the French defenders under so much pressure that they just had to clear it long to alleviate the pressure. Now, within the first 5 minutes of the second half, Brazil have been so dynamic and have offered a different look with Luis Enrique coming on and providing 1v1 ability, the ability to come in and be a presence. It's just been a completely different look from Brazil and a much better 5-minute spell.
Here's Casemiro. So well to find Luis Enrique again. There is the Zenit St. Petersburg man. Enrique! Also is the first real save from Magnon, and now Vinicius Junior. Casemiro and over. Brazil have life.
It's been Enrique that's come off the bench and provided CPR to this Brazilian attack. It's just asking real questions now. You're asking Upamecano to step up, and now everybody's at 6s and 7s defending to try to come forward. And it's last-ditch defending. Wonderful save from Magnon, but he gives up a rebound in a position that causes a threat. Casemiro flat-footed with his effort. He's got to do better from that distance to either get it on target or keep possession at the top of the 18.
No goal in the last 6 for Zenit St. Petersburg for Luis Enrique. Doesn't look like a player that scored no goal in 6.
Looks like a player that wants to stake his claim to be on the roster for the FIFA Men's World Cup. As this is the last window for Carlo Ancelotti to make his vital, crucial decisions, some life-changing, career-changing decisions for some of these players.
It's Gusto. It's Konate. Centre half from Liverpool. Misguided clearance. That's a polite way to describe it.
Looks like you trying to play a long ball.
No comment.
Konate's been good, though, to be fair. That's one of the wayward passes, but you're just starting to see maybe a little bit of pressure starting to be applied to France and forcing the rush decision, forcing the mistakes. It's been a bright start for Brazil, but they need their reward in the form of an equalizer.
Andre Santos with a brilliant ball forwards. Wesley in behind. Now then, here they come again. Has the referee got a decision to make? The yellow card has been brandished. Just the yellow card has been brandished. And there's a whole group of players surrounding the referee to have a further conversation.
What a wonderful ball through, and it's such a smart touch from Wesley to go across the face of Upamecano. And the decision from a referee, Guido Gonzalez, was that there's the foul outside the box. This can be a red card, dog so, because it's outside of the box. There was a play on the ball. This would have been in the penalty box. This would have been just a penalty, just a yellow. But in this situation, because it's outside of the box, this decision can be made to send him off. And ultimately, Guido Gonzalez opts to go with a more conservative approach to the challenge and give it Upamecano just a yellow card.
But let me ask you this, Jamie Watson, and let me play devil's advocate here, because in your day as a flying winger, surely you would be beyond frustrated that that is only a yellow card.
Without a doubt, and it was it's the right decision from Wesley. Keep in mind, there is video assistant referees to this match, so this is being taken a look at, and you've got to find a look that is a clear and obvious error. And to that point, Guido Gonzalez is being sent to the monitor. That would mean there was the opinion that Konate was not in a position to be able to go in and affect the play, and that Upamecano was in fact the last player and should be sent off for denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity.
Well, just away from your screen at home, Didier Deschamps was at the edge of his technical area, furious with the officials and asking why on earth are we going to video review, but this, Jamie Watson, is the reason as to why this has been reviewed.
Tim Ford, the video assistant referee, is taking a look at this, and he's the one that is saying this is a very experienced center referee, so we would understand that Guido Gonzalez has opted to go with yellow, knowing this could be upgraded if Guido Gonzalez gives the red card initially. There's nothing from that look that's clear and obvious to overturn it. And knowing that there is the safety blanket, the security blanket of VAR, that's why Guido Gonzalez goes with the yellow.
So here's what the referee has to say. So then, he's saying, no, the yellow card was wrong. Red card is the correct decision, and it's greeted to a raucous roar here at Gillette Stadium. France can't believe it.
After the second look, the recommendation for review is a correct one. Wesley is clear through on goal because, as we discussed, this was outside of the box. That's eligible for a red card, eligible for review. It's the right decision in the end. Completely changes this matchup. This will be the marching orders for Upamecano, who had a good night up until this point.
So let me ask you, Jamie, is this the right decision?
Yes. Wesley's cut across the face of the defender to put Upamecano in a position. He lunges for it. He fouls Wesley. He's the last defender. Kanate is not going to get to a position, I believe, before an effort towards goal. So that denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity is the right decision. And good on the referees, Tim Ford, the video assistant referee, to communicate and recommend a review to Guido Gonzalez.
Well, they want to replicate the real thing as much as possible. And it does seem as though Maxence Lacroix will be coming on for what will be a France debut. On the way to make a France debut, N'Golo Kante is also dressed and ready to enter. Get to that shortly, as the referee will allow the free kick to be taken first. It's a case of pick your poison. Will it be the boot of Leo Pereira or the rights of Martinelli?
Martinelli with the skill. Pereira can strike it with some venom from this distance.
It is Pereira! Gathered well by Magnon in goal.
Wrong shot selection. Pereira has just gone with the inside of his boot. From this position, he's got to put his foot through it. Magnon's going to see that the entire way. That's easy. You'd expect better. But the debutant, be a bit of nerves in that moment. You're just standing over it, knowing one strike, this match can change now that Brazil are up a man, yet still down a goal.
So, some challenge on the far side. Actually, the three allowed the play to go on, but now they do win themselves a free kick. And so here's confirmation of the changes. So as we said, on comes Maxence Lacroix from Crystal Palace, a player that's played every single game for Crystal Palace in all competitions this season, has earned the rights of the opportunity to impress Didier Deschamps. Centre half by trade, of course. So one would assume he would slot in to replace Upamecano. N'Golo Kante, the other player that'll enter here shortly, of course, back in Europe after 2.5 seasons at Al Ittihad in the Saudi Pro League. So, Lacroix, the player coming in to replace Ibrahim Konate in a like-for-like change at centre-half. Some confusion now from the France players. Chouameni not entirely sure what's going on, but it will be Ousmane Dembele, by the looks of things, to make way. The Paris Saint-Germain player has run his race for this afternoon. So Aurélien Chouameni is the player that'll depart for N'Golo Kante. So N'Golo Kante in for Chouameni, Maxence Lacroix in for Ousmane Dembele.
More tactical shifts now. You get Kante, who can sit in front, and Lacroix as well, that can go and help show up the back line. This will be a real test of adversity. A 4-4-1 for France now with Mbappe up top, and you still have Elise who can join in, Ekitike on the other side, so you still have the option of this transforming from a 4-4-1 defensively to a 4-2-3 if necessary in the attack.
So slightly confused. There was an obvious miscue, and Ibrahim Konate does remain on the field. So, welcome to international football. Maxence Lacroix. Here's Casemiro. France down to 10 men. Douglas Santos, a player from Zenit St. Petersburg in Russia.
Just look immediately how the mindsets have changed for both sides. Brazil confident in their possession now entering the final third. France having to sit deeper. This is going to be a practice in patience for Brazil to be able to try to wait for the moment when they can exploit a gap in the French low block.
So here's Leon Pereira. Here's Santos. Lovely inviting ball in. It's not completely dealt with. Konate finding Magnon, rather fortuitously.
It's important to know before this match it was agreed upon there would be 6 total subs for each side, 3 windows. So France used one of those substitutions, yet they did it at a halftime interval, so they still have 3 windows to make 5 more subs. And for France, they now have made 2 substitutions in one of their window.
Kante putting the ball away. Here come Brazil. Mateus Cunha just unable to play the ball in towards the penalty area.
That's important for Lacroix, who's just come off the bench, to be able to quickly get into a physical battle, be able to win the 1v1 duel, now get an opportunity in possession.
Pineda from that nonsense time clearance, who's still cushioning into the path of Olise. Here's Magnon. It's almost invite the challenge from Vinicius Junior. Of course, at the bottom of your screen, Brazil set to make a change. João Pedro of Chelsea set to enter shortly, we're told, for Gabriel Martinelli. Here's Casemiro.
Now immediately Casemiro is dropped between the 2 center backs, allowing the outside backs to go get forward and create the numbers overloaded wider. More space for Vinicius to get on the ball.
Santos, Leo Pereira.
With just Mbappe up top, you'll see more of this as the rest of this match plays out. Casemiro dropping back into a 6, but also a center back.
Vinicius Junior. Fighting so many players. Here's Casemiro. Douglas Santos. And behind for a corner. And a real example of Brazilian football and Jogo Benito.
That right there, that little snake inside to out is worth the price of admission. And then Casemiro doesn't even look when he plays this through to Douglas Santos. Wonderful recovery though from Malo Gusto. Sells out on the block to be able to deny the ball played across the top of the 6.
So as Casemiro waits, Martinelli departs early. On comes João Pedro. 21 goals in all competitions this year for Chelsea. 14 of those in the English Premier League. Can he now offer something and find his first goal for his country? So the angle changed. Enrique. Luis Enrique. Santos.
Still a 3v2 on the near side.
Enrique pushed to one side by Kylian Mbappe on defensive duties. Gives the ball away though. And Brazil pounce and capitalise, not on this occasion. Malo Gusto now finding Kylian Mbappe. Here's Lacroix. His France debut. Rabiot. Ekitike. Rabiot. N'Golo Kante. He's back in the French setup after some time out of international recognition. He's played against Ukraine last year, his first cap since 2024.
Brazil now have shifted to a 4-3-3. Vinny Jr. is still the focal point of the attack, and I'd like to see him be able to come out wide to get isolated with João Pedro as the point of the front three. Just causes some real physical concerns of Vinny Jr. going against Kanate, against Lacroix. It's been a real point of this for France to win the ball back time and time again. Brazil haven't learned yet with their tactical changes.
Here come 10-man France. Olise with the ball at feet. Ekitike! And in the biggest dress rehearsal of them all, France look as buttoned up as humanly possible and lead Brazil by 2-0.
Free-flowing French football at its finest. Kylian Mbappe draws so much attention at the bottom of the screen that it gets Leo Pereira shifting too much to join Douglas Santos, and Hugo Ekitike finds this space just in behind Wesley, who was caught forward with the ball turned over. Ekitike stays wide, and that is a brilliant ball from Olise to understand the attention's going to go to the talisman Mbappe, so he goes with the other thought process with another inch-perfect pass through. And much like the first goal that Mbappe scored, Ekitike stabs underneath it, inviting Ederson out, and then going up and over and off to the corner to celebrate.
So it's his second goal for his country. It will be his last touch of the game, because both Hugo Ekitike and Kylian Mbappe are the two players set to exit. Marcus Thuram of Inter in Italy will be entering, as well as Desiré Doué from Paris Saint-Germain. It's a player that garnered international headlines in the UEFA Champions League last season. But Ekitike's race is run. Desiré Doué on for his 5th cap. Just 20 years of age, the talk of French football for many. Desiré Doué now into the fray as Kylian Mbappe leaves it. What an afternoon for him.
He's made his impact in the first half. And he's made his impact on the second goal as well, just drawing the attention, drawing the ire of the defenders, inviting the space for Ekitike. Kylian Mbappe, the man who, there is the anticipation that he'll be the one holding the trophy at the end of the tournament this summer. He looks in fine form now against Brazil.
Olise. The pathway around a handful of Brazilian players. Level it on into Fabio. To the grasp of Ederson for now.
This is so good from France, and Thuram, who's just come on, understands immediately that everybody anticipates keeping possession, so he does the other thought. Fabio from that angle, he's just trying to curl this and get it around to the far post. Doesn't catch it the way he hopes.
See. It's Pereira. So 2 goals from Kylian Mbappe and Hugo Ekitike. The difference between the two sides, for those of you joining us late, here's Casemiro of Manchester United. Vinicius Jr. of Real Madrid. Stars are out and ready to shine here in Foxborough, Massachusetts. The road to 26 continues. Santos into the wide areas. Do Brazil have something up their sleeve now? Pereira. Douglas Santos. Leo Pereira. Into the penalty area is not Pedro unable to wriggle away. Fabio. 3 against 3. Thuram. Olise.
Smart from France, understanding that they had the opportunity to go, but it wasn't fast enough. Now you keep possession, you get some rest with the ball. It's poor from Hernandez.
So then we take a temporary stop in the proceedings. This cooling break is brought to you by Celsius, and it's Didier Deschamps' side, Jamie Watson, that lead by 2-0. courtesy of goals from Kylian Mbappe and Hugo Ekitike. Fabulous French flowing footballers, you quite rightly suggested. They look very, very good.
Incredible discipline from France. After they go down to 10 players, it's a goal within 10 minutes, and it's fantastic from France. But it's really been Kylian Mbappe who, he's been the man that's changed everything this match. He's run his race now. He'll get his break. But this man, he had a wonderful day, and it started off with just his constant willingness to get into space, run at defenders, finding Wesley in at this moment, dropping a shoulder, change of pace that ultimately gets snuffed out defensively from Brazil. But here's the moment that this game broke open at the 32nd minute. Germany wins it. Dembele immediately breaks the 4 defenders from Brazil. And Mbappe, man, with all of the eyes of footballing world around him, finishes it so calmly. And in the second half, he was willing to roll up his sleeves and do the defensive work as well. This man has shown why all the expectation in the world is on his shoulders. Played a role in the second goal, drawing the space open for Ekitike to find a passing lane and apply the finish.
Well, he, once again, flawless for France. Who look as fluid and as convincing as possible. Work for Carlo Ancelotti's side, who, of course, let's not forget, will face off against Croatia in Orlando on Tuesday. Team that eliminated them in the 2022 World Cup. France next up, the northeast of the United States against Colombia. It's both sense of players getting themselves ready for the summer and the World Cup. As you can see, a flurry of Brazilian changes. Danilo, Ibanez, and a Brazilian debut for Thiago of Brentford as well.
What an incredible story for Thiago as well. His family watching on television in Brazil as Carlo Ancelotti names the team across Brazilian television. Just tears of joy and happiness. And the story was told at 13, he was laying bricks to help his family make ends meet. And now getting to wear his country's crest on his chest. What an incredible moment it is for the 24-year-old to make his full Brazilian debut after a spectacular season so far for Brentford.
Spectacular, the right way to describe it. 19 goals in the English Premier League for Brentford this season. 13 of those have come from open play, and perhaps an opportunity here for France. Behind as Desafin Doué looked to cause a problem straight away. It's a stern challenge and a clattering of legs in the Brazil half.
Late to the step, and it's the right decision. Nate has come through, he stepped, and it's the colliding of legs, not the bottom of the boot, coming onto the leg of João Pedro, the difference in it being just a yellow.
So here's Pereira. Pedro. Casemiro. To the wide areas they go for Vinicius Junior. He helped them pave the pathway into the contest. Vinicius Junior, full of ideas as always. And Magnon able to gather.
It's been a frustrating afternoon for Vinicius Junior. Has been obviously the player that has had the most attention from the French defenders. Vinicius has just been unable to find himself in positions where he can really go 1v1. There's always been a second French defender that's shaded over to provide extra defensive support.
Casemiro. Vinicius Junior. Able to force a way through this time is Leo Pereira. Santos. It's Casemiro. Surveying the scene and keeping it forward, looking for Thiago and Co. Play down by Chouhan.
Feels a little bit too late, but now Vinicius has started to shade outward when you get Thiago to come in the central position. Same can be said for João Pedro. It's a better option for Vinicius. It's also a better option for Brazil if they're going to try to play more direct entry balls in.
Thiago and Pereira not the only debutants for Brazil. The pass there from Danilo was exquisite on his Brazilian debut. Here's Vinicius Junior, lovely ball there and away by the hell of Lacroix. Ball carried out of touch and a throw now for Brazil.
Lacroix's been good since coming on, making his debut. The nerves pushed to the side. He's been able to handle it, and this is what we've been asking for all afternoon long, to get Vinicius in positions where he can impact from wider areas. Finally gets the direction from the manager to go out wide, and instantly it leads to a situation where he gets 1v1, is able to get a dangerous cross off.
No goal in the last 8 all competitions. Formerly at Borussia Mönchengladbach, of course a Champions League finalist with Inter. To Vinicius Junior again, love the first touch.
So good.
Vinicius Junior twisting and turning and just able to wriggle through this time, brought forward by Chouhan and Fadiol. Thought was to find Desiré Doué, they do that. Desiré Doué now down under the challenge, and the referee blows the whistle and distributes a yellow card to Brunner.
It's a challenge that had to be made from Brunner. As soon as this breakout happens, Banhas leaves it short. The counter-attack is on, and with the fresh legs, to be able to really stress and cause real problems for the Brazilian backline. Bremer astutely takes the yellow card and stops the attack.
15 minutes to play. Two managers, complete polar opposite of happiness and dissatisfaction here today, no doubt. As we have the opportunity, Jamie, with 15 minutes remaining, what's been the assessment of the second half from your vantage point?
Brazil started out really strong. They did really, really well, and they forced them to position to go up a man with the sending off of Upamecano. But with that, it has to be said, don't feel as though Carlo Ancelotti has got it completely right with the decision. Put Vinicius as the center forward for a vast majority of this match, roughly 70 minutes or so of this, going against Kanate and Upamecano while he was on the pitch. Feel as though when there was a change made, it should have been to get Vinicius wider and isolated. It hasn't happened until late on, and instantly his teammates are starting to find him more and more. I think tactically it was a late change, and it was a misjudgment from Ancelotti to not make his substitution sooner.
Leo Pereira. Vinicius Junior, no goal in his last 3 for Brazil. Santos. Vinicius Junior still with the ball at feet, and a miscue from him. Casemiro. Brazil find a way back into the contest here. It's opened up for Casemiro. João Pedro unable to gather, but it will be a free kick to Brazil.
This is good from referee Guido Gonzalez. He was waiting to see if there was going to be any advantage. Nothing came of it for Brazil, so he goes back to the initial foul on Vinicius, and this is when he's at his best. Malo Gusto has had a really good outing, but any defender in that situation, 1v1 backpedaling with Vinicius coming at him, has an element of fear. Now Brazil have an element of possibility with this set piece.
Can they? Could they? Face of goal back from whence it came, still not cleared away, and it's in! Well, it only took them 77 minutes, but Bremer is the player credited with the goal. He's first in Brazilian colours, and Brazil, with 10 to play, are right back in it.
Brilliant from Brazil. Vinicius Junior starts it all off with his ability to win the free kick. This is so astute when the initial first entry ball that comes in from the set piece is too far. Instead of going for goal, it's a tight angle. Watch at the top of the screen. The way that this is sent back in from Casemiro, it's so smart. Good patience to take the touch. And then from there, it's just a fortuitous ball played across. This is smart to be able to understand from Enrique, the halftime substitute. It's a difficult angle to shoot from, so to play this back across is the best possibility for Brazil. And ultimately, they find the foot of Bremer, and they find a lifeline back into this match.
So Bremer off the mark on the international stage. One is just his 6th cap for Brazil, looking to make his mark in front of Carlo Ancelotti. Boy, has he done that. As we were taking a look at the replay, Fabio was mauled to the ground by the Brazilian defender Ibanez. Deschamps clearly irritated. Theo Hernandez, the player, taken down. Ibanez straight away was given a yellow card. It had only been on the field for a matter of minutes.
As we saw earlier for the sitting off of Upamecano, there is the usage of video review. I have a video assistant referee at Tim Ford who is taking a look at everything, and these are the moments that Brazil need to be able to keep their level head. They've just got back into this match. They're up a player. Here's what happened right after this play started. Hernandez. Oh, that's a nasty challenge. I believe the reason this is just a yellow versus a red is there's this stepping across the path of Hernandez, similar to the yellow card that we saw just a few moments ago from Konate when he stepped across the path of Joao Pedro. Not necessarily contact higher up the leg, but more in the path, which then has the legs collide and keeping it just to the yellow as opposed to a sending off.
Well, these are two players that play their trade in the Saudi Pro League. Spent the season clattering each other with Al Hilal and Al Ahly. Theo Hernandez does seem to be okay. Konate happy to retreat. So 10 minutes to play, plus added time, and France manoeuvre forward again. Sergi Doué unable to wriggle through this time. Hernandez involved in the build-up. Here's Rabiot. Theo Hernandez again. Tidied up by the Brazilian contingency at the back.
Good counter pressure though from France to try to win this back. Wonderful job from Brazil to keep possession.
Can they now press? Here's the man to do it with Vinicius Junior. Down the line he goes for Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro across. Well gathered by Mike Maignan again.
Great usage of the body from Konate right as Joao Pedro was starting to lean as he's chasing this before it goes over the touchline. That is really good job from Konate to give just the nudge that throws the momentum and the balance off for Joao Pedro.
N'Golo Kante. Say. So here they come again. Off a man, remember. And now with the ball on the feet of Vinicius Junior. Vinicius Junior across, Konate there to intervene, and behind for another corner to Brazil.
The moment Vinicius went to a wider position, everything changed from the Brazilian attack. Nobody wearing yellow inside the Gillette Stadium has sat down since this match has gone to 2-1. There's a real sense of belief finally for this Brazilian side.
So then, in front of a raucous crowd here. Danilo over the ball. Brazilian debutant. In it comes, headed towards goal by Casemiro. Easily gathered by Mike Maignan. Sadly for the football, when called upon once again, the AC Milan goalkeeper. Vinicius Junior. Forward now for João Pedro. Thiago awaiting the service. João Pedro pushed to one side. Behind for a goal kick.
Konate has done so well battling with João Pedro. Back-to-back instances. Just another moment in which Konate is waiting. That moment when Pedro takes the heavy touch. And that's when he just closes down with those long strides.
So here's another change for Brazil. And another debutant in Gabriel Sara. Ex-Sao Paulo and Norwich City. 6 goals and 3 assists in all competitions this year with Galatasaray in Turkey. And now for an international debut. Vinicius Junior now donning the captain's armband for Brazil.
He's been great in the last 10-15 minutes. This is the type of responsibility that Vinicius Junior will have to take this summer in the FIFA Men's World Cup. He's going to have to want the ball in these moments, and now that he's coming wider in these areas, he's getting it. Albeit Brazil still up a man, has to be taken into account. Also, Vinny is a lot more dangerous when he's able to get the ball and start running at defenders as opposed to playing with his back to goal.
João Pedro just slipping in behind for Thiago. Just give the thumbs up. João Pedro, of course, centre stage for Chelsea this season. 21 goals in all competitions. 30 goals in 2 seasons at Brighton and Hove Albion before Chelsea paid a bucket load of money for him. This Brazilian contingent find an equalising goal. Here's Henrique. Bremer. Away by Lacroix. To Rabiot. And Desiree Doué now. Desiree Doué, that has impressed Didier Deschamps. Just about everybody in French football over the course of the last year or so since he burst onto the scene with Paris Saint-Germain, poached him from the acclaimed academy of Rennes.
This is an important final 4 minutes with stoppage time for both sides. It'll give Brazil belief if they can come back into this match after going down 2 goals to one of the best teams in the world. Also for France, if they could see this out knowing they went down to 10, still were able to get a goal back and then grind out a result.
It's Vinicius Junior interrogating again. Across the face it goes. Did creep out of play.
These are just the moments you cannot replicate in training if you're either manager. You've just got to get into this position and have the adversity. And for Ancelotti, he'll be looking to decide he's thrown as attacking of a lineup as he possibly could.
Let me ask you this, Jamie Watson. I wonder what a certain centre forward at Santos, Neymar, have made a difference today.
These moments, especially as France have gone down to 10, you put Vinny on one side, you put Neymar on the other, and you start to say it really stretches France out east to west, and it allows more space for runs centrally through.
That's Thiago can make a difference. Referee might have a decision to make. He says no. Not even a foul.
No, that's not the right decision. There's absolutely a foul. You've got to wait another 10 more minutes to change jerseys and to ask to pull the jersey off of your opponent. That right there is absolutely a foul that should have been called.
Thuram. N'Golo Kante. Augusto happy to go backwards for now. There's Lacroix. Coming from Wolfsburg player. Kante. Rabiot.
Patience from France. Good.
Thuram. goal for France came in November of 2023. A 14-0 victory over Gibraltar for France that day. A goal in the last 8 in all competitions for Marcus Thuram. Giuseppe Doué, surveying as he often does for Paris Saint-Germain. Lovely ball into Gusto. He was able to wriggle away. Doué. N'Golo Kante. France go on the prowl for number 3. It's Malo Gusto of all people. It's a really assertive piece of goalkeeping from Ederson.
Gusto's got to get back now. Remember, France are down a player. Rabiot is drifted from his center midfield role to the right back role as Gusto tries to get back. Olise committed as well.
Vinicius Junior finds a way. Rabiot in support. Does ricochet the ball off from behind for a corner.
You never want to restrict your players who believe they can go forward and find a goal, but because Gusto does that, now Olise and Rabiot are the two players that have to come back and try to defend against Vinicius Junior, and a better touch would have put Vinny in a better position.
Gabriel Sara with the ball in. Heads went up, it's not completely dealt with. Actually scrambled towards the edge, and Doué now into Olise. Here come Brazil again. Luis Enrique. Enrique across the face and lashed towards goal by Bremer. Eyebrow-raising opportunity for Brazil, and they fail to take it.
That's the right position, but just the wrong player. This falls to the center back, and he strikes it like a center back would. He does the hard part to break free. But from that, he's got it in the target. What he's trying to do is generate extra power, and he doesn't need to. There's power from the cross. Bremer just needs to get the connection right, and just needs to make sure he catches it cleanly, as opposed to trying to strike it with venom.
So 2 changes for France in the dying embers of the game. Michael Olise has departed the field. Magnus Akliush of Monaco has come on. Malo Gusto has departed, and Pierre Calulu, Juventus, enters the fray. What is just his second appearance for France. But Magnus Akliush, a player that is very highly thought of in French football, scored a goal against Lyon alongside US international Folarin Balogun over the weekend. A monstrous victory for Monaco in the race for the Champions League in Ligue 1. Scored in his last cap in the 3-1 victory over Azerbaijan. To manoeuvre forward. Continues wants the ball. Calulu down the line. Over the head of Sara for now, and Santos does the rest for Brazil. And no assist, we're 2 minutes into an additional 7 here at Gillette Stadium. Can Brazil find an equaliser? Luis Enrique and Vinicius Junior not on the same wavelength when it really mattered.
Good glimpse of the difference, being able to have the physical presence and then break off of that.
So the Lowe's home improvement hardest worker of the match, unsurprisingly, Jamie Watson, is Kylian Mbappe.
Mbappe in the 32nd minute with a brilliant first touch to invite Ederson out. The receiving end of an inch-perfect through ball from Ousmane Dembele, and that's a world-class finish from a world-class player.
Now then, here's Vinicius Junior, passes behind Thiago, who was offside anyway.
Deschamps is just furious with the lack of structure in the shape, albeit down a player for France. Right now, there's just so much gaps, and it's a bit of pickup soccer and backyard soccer right now from Brazil, as they are really throwing tactics to the wind to just try to put a plethora of numbers forward. France have to dig in, be able to see this through, as Brazil are just going to take chance after chance right now to go and find an equalizer.
Calulu down the line. Here's Akliush. Under the challenge of Douglas Santos. course, linked with high-profile move to either Paris Saint-Germain, Chelsea, and a whole host of other players. May very well play alongside him at Real Madrid at some point. It's the suggestion across Europe. Here's Finish on the ball. 3 goals and an assist in the last 5 in all competitions. Kalulu is booked as the ball finds itself in towards the penalty area. Decision in favour of Brazil. It's Danilo. Botafogo. The Nottingham Forest in the English Premier League, of course. Santos. Pedro unable to wriggle through. Acliush involved in the centre of midfield. Here's Leo Pereira as the clock counts down in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Vinicius Junior trying to spray it into the opposing flank, and Theo Hernandez is there to answer for France. Down the line now for Desiree Doué, fabulous challenge by Ibanez. Do we have late drama? The dying embers of the game here. Danilo trying to force a way through. Thiago involved in the build-up as well. Enrique. Leo Pereira. Vinicius Junior. Behind for a throw.
Vinicius wanted a penalty. Our referee Guido Gonzalez instantly said the arm was tucked into the side in a natural position.
Danilo. Sarah. Angled ball played in. Real opening here for Brazil. Canate is there to answer the call for France.
Tremendous from Theo Hernandez to get back in with a vital intervention.
Danilo surveying the scene and unable to find the pass this time. Fabio now. Hernandez losing out. Into the final 60 seconds here. Vinicius Junior. Bremer. Bremer in behind. Not entirely sure how much they knew about it, but Brazil came awfully close.
That was the moment. That's the way in which Bremer shapes. Everyone inside this sold-out stadium thinks that he's going to have a go. And it's a clever deception to try to slip it through. But Thiago had just taken that last step back. Benny's always chasing it as fast as he is. Even he can't quite get to it. Wonderful deception from Bremer. And if it would have been a half second later, Thiago would have been able to plant his foot and then step forward to it to deflect that on target.
Magnan booked now for time wasting. So we've had the 7 minutes. A game that was built as the premier international friendly fixture here today. Across world football, eyeballs fixated on this contest between two of the very, very best in world football. Here's Kalulu, Acliush, N'Golo Kante, Acliush again. Twisting and turning and losing out. João Pedro, perhaps one more chance. Really, really good challenge from N'Golo Kante. But here come Brazil through Danilo. Danilo, Desiree Doué on defensive duties for France.
Incredible commitment from France. First from N'Golo Kante, then from Doué. That's the type of dedication you're going to have to see a result out.
It's the kind of dedication and the kind of challenge that wins you a massive football match. Yes, it's only a friendly, but this game meant so much to Didier Deschamps, to Carlo Ancelotti, and those in the audition period here ahead of the FIFA Men's World Cup. Ultimately, goals from Kylian Mbappe and Hugo Ekitike were enough for France to find victory, despite Bremer answering the call for Brazil. Final score here from a sold-out Foxborough, Massachusetts, Gillette Stadium. Brazil 1, France 2.